Hey guys, it's Effie. Welcome back to my channel. I have Colleen over here from Instagram, Mad for Minnie. Her social links will be in the description box below if you guys want to find her after you listen or watch this chat that we're going to have. And I wanted to let Colleen share a little bit about herself with all of you.
Great. Thanks, Effie. Well, my name is Colleen. I'm 52. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 20. And I'm born with one hand, so I have a limb difference. So just having that and growing up with that, I was already so used to adapting and figuring things out and doing workarounds. So when the RA diagnosis happened when I was 20, I wasn't as worried about it or scared about it, because I was like, okay, well, just another little thing I got to figure out. And yes, it definitely did have its challenges, and it does change your life. But early on, it mostly started in my hand. I had it in my hand and my wrist, and then it moved to my knees, and then kind of everywhere else. Had a couple of surgeries. I've had I have two separate hand surgeries. I've had the first two knuckles replaced the first time, and that was in 1999. And then that did well. I mean, before, my fingers used to all be straight, but they were curved over, and I just didn't have any hand grip. And then I had a second hand surgery in 2009 where I had the other two knuckles replaced and my wrist fused, because my wrist was like dangling down and I definitely had no hand use. But you know what? Those hand surgeries have helped me so much. I mean, I've had other surgeries too. I've had my hip replaced. I've had my ankle fused. I had to get cataract surgery because of, so much prednisone over the years. But, it just makes us who we are, and we just figure out ways to deal with it. And each battle that I faced, it's just helped me get a little stronger, and I just try to deal with it the best I can. I guess, I have RA, but RA doesn't have me. That's kind of how I look at things. And I just try to make it through each day as best I can. And some days, as we know, are harder than others. And, sometimes we have to take a lot of rest and breaks and use those spoons. But, we manage.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring Colleen on to my YouTube channel. I'm going to have a playlist where I have people come on, and it's going to be called Keeping It Real With. And whoever I'm talking to, we're going to be discussing a specific topic. And for Colleen, when I met her on Instagram, like I've met many others, and I said this in Raven's video, that a lot of us connect on social media nowadays. That's just how we find each other. And, you've kept it so real, and you always say positive no matter what you've gone through. And I know we connected over this hashtag I did, My Hands Are Lovable. It was like a campaign in regards to how I wanted to express like love for myself, and through all like the changes that rheumatoid arthritis can cause with your body physically. And you've done so well right now articulating kind of how it's impacted you, but at the same time, you're still living your life, right? I also wanted you to share like, what is the Colleen Way? And I know you have a t-shirt on now that sort of, says that I do everything hashtag the Colleen Way, and I love it. What does this mean exactly?
Well, it's funny. I've always, my whole life, I always had to figure things out having the one hand. And I've always been very independent. I've had a confidence about me that I'm very proud of. And, it's the way my parents raised me, just like my siblings. I wasn't treated anything special. I just had to figure things out. And so my whole life, I've always kind of done it the Colleen way, but I never knew that term. But when I went on Instagram last year, to be honest, I didn't even know the word limb difference. I didn't know, I just thought I was born like this. But when I went on Instagram, I found out, that's what it means. I mean, missing my lower right arm, it's a limb difference. So I was like, oh, wow, this whole other community. And so I've got really involved in that as well. But the way the hashtag came about, my sister-in-law kind of gave me that term, because I was on a 30-day workout challenge with her. And some of the workout things, you definitely had to get on the floor, or you needed two hands. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out somehow. And I did. And she's like, look at you, you're doing it the Colleen way. And then I was like, that is my new hashtag. That's my new me. And I've kind of just taken off with it. And so no matter what I do now, I'm like, that's the Colleen way. Just like, as we all know with arthritis, sometimes you have to open up things differently. you might have to cut the thing open instead of pull it apart with your hands because we don't have hand strength. I just always figure out a different way to adapt. Or, with the arthritis side, we have to use automatic can openers, and sometimes automatic things to cut up our vegetables, or buy the stuff pre-cut. I look at all of that the Colleen way. Just a more positive spin on just adapting and changing the way you do things that best fit your situation. It was fascinating to learn that on Instagram,
Oh,
of all
wow.
things.
Yeah. And, like Colleen said, she raises awareness for rheumatoid arthritis. She talks about her journey, but she also is an advocate for limb differences. And you work on that side of the community, sharing whatever you can. When you keep positive so much, do you ever find that people are like, oh, you're awesome, I love how you stay positive, how do you do this? Or do you have any like negative remarks ever? Because, in the
Well,
community, we do find that, right?
oh, I know. Oh, yeah. And there is a lot of the toxic positivity out there. And I really try not to put myself out there in that way. I try to be as real as I can be. And yes, there are days sometimes that I do struggle. I mean, there are days that, I'll be crying with my husband, and, and sometimes, you have to let it out. And I just try to schedule things out in ways like right now, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. I already have the table set for dinner. I have everything. I schedule things out so I don't overdo. Like I might get a bunch of stuff done in the morning because I have the most energy. And then at nighttime, all I got to do is like cook the main protein. But no, I just really try to just be honest and truthful about it. And, but I always still see the glass half full no matter what. Because, yes, I have RA, but it doesn't have me. I might go a little slower. And yes, there are days I wear pajamas all day, and I'm proud of it. I don't care.
Me
I'll walk to
too.
go to the mailbox in my pajamas. I'll be like, hi. But, I look good.
Yeah, rock it.
But, we just have to do it at our own pace. But I still look at it as, what? I got out of bed. I took a shower today. If that's all I did that day, that's success. I'm proud. And a lot of times I'm just in the recliner, and that's success too. We just have to do what we got to do. I worked 28 years. I had to stop working. My hand just got too bad. And, my doctor even said to me at one point, because I was like, I need to work. I need health insurance. And he's like, Colleen, you only have this one hand. It's already so bad. All they want is a person to sit in that chair. They can get somebody else. You need to do what's best for yourself. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And I got to take better care of myself so I can take better care of my family. And that was a hard decision, but it was the best decision I ever made. And, we have to do what's best for our own health and put ourselves first.
And I really like how you said, even if you just sit in a recliner or you brush your teeth, take a shower, whatever, just the daily simple task one day, that is success. It is, because those are the first things you should be doing anyways, relaxing and taking care of your needs physically and mentally and emotionally before anything else. And sometimes people forget that. They wake up, check their phone, and they get straight to work without like taking the time to like do a little self-care. And I know I've been guilty of that too, but I'm getting better at it,
Right.
So, and I think rheumatoid arthritis and chronic illness disability teaches you that a little bit faster sometimes, but it can also be a little overwhelming because you're trying to juggle all these things that a lot of people don't have to juggle.
Really gets on your mindset too. Because, it can be overwhelming sometimes. And, and luckily I journal a lot, and I have like a medical journal and a thing that I take to the doctor too. So like even like the one calendar that I have, I'll write down certain days that I don't do well, because when you go to the doctor, a lot of times you forget, and it's like, well, let me look at the calendar. Oh yeah, this happened on such and such. And, and I'll even write down what I ate, because sometimes it could be food related, because there are days sometimes we go off the anti-inflammatory diet. You want to have some chocolate, or you want to eat a little badly sometimes. So, you might have a side effect from it. So, you have to give and take.
Oh, I've seen you cook on Instagram. You mentioned working out, and I know like a lot of people are inspired by you just like seeing this. Sometimes people don't like the word inspiring or inspired. I don't have a problem with it. And like sometimes even the phrases for like toxic positivity, like keep going, they're not always bad. I feel like sometimes there can be an extreme side of things when it comes to toxic positivity, where it's like, okay, is everything now bad that we're saying? It also comes down to the context. Like if you're having a conversation with someone and how to say things, when to say them, right? But, I'm trying to get better at cooking in the kitchen, and just seeing you like with everything you're, going through as well, like be able to do those things. And it's like, what's my excuse too, because I
Right.
mean, I have hand damage a lot in my hands, but I find it intimidating to get in the kitchen. I mean, have you ever felt that way?
Oh,
Or,
yes. I've been with my husband now 34 years. We've been married for 20. But when we bought this house 15 years ago, I was like, okay, now I really need to learn how to cook. And at first, I mean, I remember the first time we hosted Thanksgiving, I was so determined to make it for our whole family. I The most embarrassing thing I did wrong, everything else turned out okay. I didn't know the cranberries you were supposed to like boil or whatever to put in the water to burst. I had raw cranberries in the thing. I didn't know I was supposed to do that. But you know what? My brother-in-law ate it as if it was delicious, and I know that dish was awful. But you have to just learn by trial and error. And then I was like, oh my God, I was supposed to put those in water. I don't know what I did wrong on that recipe. But you just have to go with it.
I mean, did you ever find it hard to like do things, or did you ever like seek an occupational therapist help or like physical therapist help? Like, how did you go about doing that?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, yes. I've done tons and tons and tons of occupational therapy and physical therapy, especially after a lot of my surgeries. Like when I had my hip replaced, you went through it too when you had your knee.
Yeah, yeah.
They taught me the different ways, how to be safe and getting the stuff in and out. And but they did help me to know how to manage better with my hand. I will admit I buy a lot of the vegetables already pre-cut. Yes, it does cost more money that way. And I can even go to the grocery store and like pick out, I don't have to buy the container that's already cut up of the like peppers and onions or whatever. I'll get a thing of the peppers and onions that I want. I walk over to the place where they do the vegetables and stuff. And I'll say, will you chop this up for me, please? And they'll chop it up for me right then, put it in a bag. There's no extra cost at Publix. And then it's ready for me that night. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, I've even had them, I would buy a rotisserie chicken and I can't cut that open. I'll ask them to cut it up, put it, into pieces, and they give it to me that way. It's okay to ask for help like that at the grocery store. So that helps me a lot. But I do a lot of this repeat meals because I know I can do it and it's easier on me. And my husband, thank God, helps too. He'll take like 3 of the nights and then I'll take like the other 3. And one night we usually go out to eat or get pizza or something. And he helps me a lot. I mean, if without his help, I couldn't do it. And sometimes I'll cook the vegetables in the morning and then reheat them in the air fryer at dinner time. And then all I have to do is the main course. I mean, I try to take as many shortcuts as I possibly can.
I mean, you have to, because cooking involves your hands a lot. It involves your upper extremities. And so you're going to have to ask for help. And I know sometimes it can be like embarrassing to ask for help, especially if you're like at the grocery store, but who cares, right? I mean,
Right.
if having the chicken pre-cut is going to help you, then so be it, because I know people who don't even have RA and they cook and then they end up like getting arthritis in their hands because of so much overuse. So for anyone, it's like we all need to be like mindful of how we maneuver things in the kitchen, because cutting, dicing, everything is just, it's a lot on the body.
You have a really neat chopper that I can put the vegetables in and it automatically will cut them up. I mean, if I'm feeling good, I'll cut them up myself. And, I love doing a lot of I would do a lot of things on the stovetop, or I just bake things in the oven like a casserole. And if the dishes are too heavy, my husband has to do it. Like I cannot do cast iron pans at all.
Oh gosh.
And I do all the dishes we eat on are the kind that don't break. And because I can't do real glasses or dishes because I don't have the hand strength to wash them or put them in and out of the dishwasher safely. And because I have broken a lot of glasses and dishes. I mean, I can't even really hold a whole gallon of milk if it's full. Once it's like halfway down, I can do it. So when I need milk, my husband has to pour it. But we figure out a way, there's always a workaround. Definitely, I've had a lot of family support in my friends. I like I said before, I always kind of see the glass half full, but probably when I turned 40, I realized, okay, I have to really be honest with everybody and really tell them, because I'd always be like, sure, I can do this. Sure, I can join you. Yes, I'll go out. Or, yes, I'll do this. And then I'll come home exhausted and couldn't do it anymore. But now everybody knows that we have to do things in the afternoon or in the morning. I can't do late night things. If I go out and about, I like to limit it to 2 hours because I get too tired. I can't do it. And everybody kind of knows that and understands it. So like if we celebrate my birthday, it's always in the afternoon, like noon to 4 or something like that, you know, like a swim party or something, because I can't do it at night. And everybody kind of gets it. And like if we go to Disney World now, I always rent a wheelchair because I can start off walking okay, but midday I can't even move.
Oh, yeah.
Transfer wheelchair here, you know, the kind that my husband can push me on days that I need it. And it's always in the garage. I can throw it in the car if we need it. And, you know, I use all the stuff that all of us need with RA. I have a chair in the shower, all kinds of, you know, I got my heating pad. I got all my stuff all over the place, anywhere I need it, you know. Oh, so we always just figure out a way. But I do try to, you know, I've always kind of been positive and everybody's been very supportive of me. And I always, you know, and I'm honest with them. I'll let them know, like, you know, today I'm not having the best day. So we just have to take things a little slow. And they get it.
And when you say they get it, were there times when they didn't get it, or you had to like explain over and over again, or was it just kind of like, okay, I know you, and I understand, like, you're not coming from a bad place, you're not trying to cancel on me, and like, you know, because there's some times where that happens. Yeah.
I would say in my early 20s, a lot of them thought, because of course back then everybody wanted to, you know, be wild and crazy.
Yeah.
They kind of, you know, they kind of would think I was making up an excuse or whatever, because sometimes you do have to cancel the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you think you're going to be fine and then you're not. But then, you know, then over time they realize, oh, you know what, she's got a serious problem. I mean, she's really sick. And even though I went to work all the time, you know, I did have to do FMLA every once in a while and miss work, but I just kept plugging along. But I always used to try to hide it. Like if I would be hurting when I would stand up, if I couldn't immediately walk, I'd act like I'm fixing my shirt, or, you know, I always used to call it, I'm in neutral because I couldn't quite drive or move. And I would purposely act like I'm just fixing my clothes, even though I really wasn't fixing my clothes. I just didn't have the strength or the stamina to be able to walk. And I never wanted people to look at me as if I was a failure, even though I know it's not a failure. But inside of me back then, I thought, oh my God, I'm failing at this. But you know what? Now I just take it with grace. Like I'm a little slow today. I'm just a little slow. So you just have to bear with me, you know, but I still move a lot. I mean, I would do this thing, movement is medicine. Even if I only do is walk around the house a bunch, or walk up and down the street, or ride my adult tricycle, which is so low impact on your joints. That is the best investment I ever did to myself. And I just do it, whatever I can do. You know, I can't like really lift weights, but you know, I can walk and I can ride my bike, and that gives me some joy, you know, and I really look forward to that as often as I can when the weather permits.
I resonate with what you said in your 20s too, because in my 20s, I don't think people understood how sick I was either, you know, because I was working full time. I was going to college. I was able to go out to parties and stuff like that. But then, you know, if I would have to cancel, or like I had, you know, to change my diet up randomly, all of a sudden, like, you know, I went from eating junk food sometimes to like not being able to do anything. Like my friends were like, you know, whoa, what's going on? But I think over time they realized, like, I would have to say, like, maybe up until my knee surgery, that's when they were like, oh, wow, you know, like, I think like this is pretty serious, because they don't really get it, you know? So I feel like life is a little bit different now in my 30s, but I wish like you, I wasn't so like, I guess like sensitive to people's comments, or like maybe like hiding things too. Like, because when I would go out to places, the first place I would go to at the venue or wherever I was the bathroom, to like kind of catch a breather and like get myself together, you know, if I wasn't feeling well, because you don't really want to show that all the time, because what are you going to sit there and explain, you know? Or I would have to take an ibuprofen or a hot shower to go places. I don't know if that's something that you've had to deal with, like the prep work before going out.
Same when I went to work. I started work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I got to work probably by 7:15, because it would take me a good 50, even though I parked in handicap parking, it would still take me 15 minutes to walk in the building. And it would take me at least 30 minutes to like get to my desk, go get coffee, get settled, because there's other people would come running in at 5 minutes to 8. I'm like, I can't do that. I have to do this in a progression.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I kind of do everything. I have to do things way, way early to make sure I can get it done by the time, like even our meeting right now, I probably got this set up at 1:15, because I was like, okay, I know I'm kind of slow. I have to make sure I can do this. but I just know my little levels. And but like after my very first hand surgery, I remember the doctor kind of looking at me like, oh, you're not going to be able to like even use a comb, and you can't do anything for like 3 months. And I'm like, oh, I know. Just watch me. I'll figure this out. And because I was determined, like, I'm going to show them that, yes, I only have one hand and it will be in a big contraption, but I'm going to figure out ways to go to the bathroom, to get myself dressed, to do whatever I need to do without always my family having to do it. I mean, yeah, they did the 90% of it, but I still figured out my own way. And, I just always, I guess, had that little resilience in me to always like, I'm going to figure this out. If you do it 1, 2, 3 way, I'll do it the ABC way, and we'll come to the same conclusion. And I kind of do that the same with my RA. Like, I just do it a little bit different. You probably do things differently too. And, there's always some way we can come to what we need to do. And it's such a satisfying thing when we're like, oh my God, I did this today. Yes, yes. That's how I like to end every day, of like, I did that today. And then I always take time for myself at the end of the day, like when I'm washing my face and all that, I'll put extra lotion on, or I'll soak my feet, or I'll do something that just a little, even 10 minutes for myself every day, I think does wonders. We didn't have anybody in my family that had RA or any kind of arthritis or anything like that. So I didn't have anybody to kind of go to for advice or help. And as I know you're younger than me, but when medicine first started out, the medicines weren't great like they are now. So, there was a lot of times you still suffered even being on medicine. But then once the biologics and all that came out, and like the injection stuff that I started to do in the early 2000s, and, now I'm on the IV ones, I've seen a huge difference. And I'm so grateful for the medications that are out there now. But yeah, I think having the one hand, when I got the diagnosis, I was like, I'll figure this out. This will kind of just be like another little thing I have to learn with having one hand. I'll just learn how to deal with the arthritis. And that's what I did.
Did you feel like it was a little hard though at first, or like, because it's like, oh, another thing's added on now, or did you kind of not feel that way?
Well, it definitely was hard at first, since it was my hand. Like I remember at work trying to carry things or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, it would just hurt so bad that I mean, sometimes I would just cry in the middle of the day at work. You'd have to go in the bathroom and cry, like, because I always find when you cry, you feel better. You have to let that out. It's like, oh, okay, now I can do it. And my doctors always knew when I was really, really bad. Then that's because Sean would come with me to the doctor. If they knew Sean was with me, that I was really bad. And early on, I was always like I am a kind of a people pleaser, but I never wanted to tell the doctor like I was hurting. I'd be like, oh, I'm fine, or I'm good, even though I wasn't. But now I'm totally honest. I'm like, okay, no, this is how it is. But in my 20s and 30s, I was kind of like, well, I'm hurting sometimes, but I'm okay, even though I really wasn't.
Yeah, like sugarcoating it.
Yeah, but now I tell it all. I get out my book, like, well, blah, 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 I wrote this down, and I take pictures now of the joints and all that. And, my infusion nurse, I'm very close with. We text each other, and she helps me a lot too. So, because she's the one that realized I needed to switch from my Actemra, or I'm sorry, my Orencia to something else because it wasn't working anymore. She's the one that advised me to tell the doctor to, maybe switch me up. And so you have to have that good relationship with your doctors. That helps tremendously too.
Yeah, and I feel like nurses and nurse practitioners don't get enough credit. I know mine have helped me so much too. They're kind of like that middleman and that cheerleader, like, come on, you should do this or say this. And I remember I had an ultrasound tech who was working with my previous rheumatologist who retired, and he was so funny, so nice. But every time he came in and I would need an injection, he would just be like, tell him what you need. He'll do it for you quickly. Like, he was one of those rheumatologists who, like, I'm going to inject you today. But he was like, don't, because he could tell, if like I need something else, he's like, just tell him. I'm like, and
right.
Like, I was like kind of nervous too, I'm like, I don't know if I should tell him. And I'm like, why am I self-sabotaging myself? So like,
right.
How did you move from like that kind of self-sabotaging behavior to like all of a sudden telling everything? Like, what was that, moment?
Well, to be honest with you, it was my husband. At one point he looked at me, he goes, you have got to be honest with yourself. You have got to be honest with because you being sabotaging yourself, you're just hurting yourself. And then it's affecting everything that you do, which it did. And then I was like, you know what, you're right. And then my one rheumatologist that I had he was one of my second rheumatologist. He ended up passing away in 2005. And I still miss him today. I love him so much. But his name was Dr. Pop. And I still pray to him all the time. And me and his wife do Christmas cards. So when good things happen to me, like let's say, I went to the grocery store this morning and I had to pick up Sean's prescriptions. And I was afraid that the line was going to be long at the pharmacy because I wasn't feeling super great this morning. And when I walked up, there was no line. And I was like, oh, great. I get to go right to the counter. And as I'm walking up there, I even said, thanks, Dr. Pop, because I still believe he looks out for me, because he's the one that really got me in the right direction of being honest and doing what's best for me. And all the times I would be in the hospital, he would come to see me, even if it wasn't related to RA. If I was in for something else, when he found out I was in the hospital, he would come see me. See, those are the kind of doctors we all need. And luckily, my new rheumatologist that was his partner back then, she's the same way. I mean, she's called me at Saturday night at 8:30 at night, was getting my blood work of like, okay, I see something's going on. We need to get your kidneys checked. I think something's happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's 8:30 at night on a Saturday. But, and I'm so grateful, knock wood, that, I have that relationship. So all of the people watching this, I hope you get a good doctor relationship like that with your doctor, nurse practitioner, all of that, because it's so important.
And I'm so glad you said this, because the other day I was just talking about how all like my great medical providers are like retiring or have retired. The one rheumatologist that I was just talking about, he was the one that really like set me on a course for like better health, and that was like in 2016. Before that, it was like, okay doctors. It wasn't the best, even though I thought they were the best, right, in my city. That's what they said they were, all these awards they won, whatever, that doesn't matter. But this guy, yeah, I mean, he retired in the pandemic, and then my occupational therapist retired, acupuncturist retired. So it's like all these people I've been seeing for like 17 years or past 8 years retired. And I call them my earth angels, because they really have helped me so much. And it is upsetting when they retire, because it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? But luckily I have a really great rheumatologist too that I wanted to see for years, but she was close. So it's like, it all, ended up working out. But, it just makes you grateful for those connections and those people who helped you along the way, because it's so important, like you said, to have those people who like vouch for you and just like call you randomly or answer your questions, even if there are like 20 of them, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
even before Dr. Pop died, the weekend before he died, I brought him brownies to the office. He worked all the way up until he died. He had a brain tumor. And he ended up getting blood work from me right before he died. And he was worried about my blood work. And he called me the Friday before he died. He was worried about my blood work, wanted me to go get it checked. And then he passed away on that Sunday. But you know what? I was so thrilled that I had the chance to talk to him on the phone. And I was like, that I guess that was his way of saying, his goodbye to me in some way. And I just love him. So, but we have to just value every day and what we face, and just make the most of it as best we can. Because, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and we just want to do what we can to have a successful day, hopefully a flare-free day and a pain-free day, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing, because I'm, not that educated on limb differences. Do you like see yourself as disabled? Do you refer to the word disabled or disability? Because I know some people don't. So that's why I kind of wanted to ask you.
Well, initially, to me, in some ways, I still feel that I'm more disabled from my arthritis than I am my limb difference, because I can do this little arm is so strong. This is my power arm. I can do everything with this. And of course, my hand is so weak. I can only move the 2 fingers. But it's functional. It doesn't look the best, but it's beautiful to me. But ever since I went on Instagram too, when I've learned about the whole limb difference community, now I don't mind saying that I'm disabled, because, yes, I was born this way. And, I do have a physical disability with the limb difference. And, of course, I'm disabled from the RA as well, but I'm a proud disabled person now. I used to always be kind of embarrassed of like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm disabled. But you know what? I'm proud of it now. It's who I am. And, there's 15% of people in the world that have a physical disability like me, or some type of a disability. And, we just need to help bring awareness to that. And, April is Limb Difference Awareness Month. So I'm going to spread a lot more stuff about it. And like, even for example, my friend wrote a book, and I'm going to give this away to all my arthritis friends. I'm going to do a thing.
Oh my God, I love it.
It's called Baking Up a Storm. And the main character has a little arm like me. And it's about him baking and all the adventures that happen in the kitchen, all the fun, messy stuff and all this neat stuff. But the limb difference is never mentioned. It's just like a side note. And it's a good way to help introduce that to children, because everybody should have an understanding about somebody that has a difference. So you don't want them to be afraid of me when they see me in the grocery store. You want them to see, oh, look at that sweet lady. Oh, look at her. Or somebody in a wheelchair or a walking aid. They just need to have an understanding that everybody has something different about them. Like you wear glasses, we wear glasses. Or, some people use a cane, or somebody might be blind, or like me, more obvious. And so I just really love to spread the love about that and awareness, because it's not anything to be afraid of. It's just, we're just different. God makes everybody in their own way. And it's just, we're all just beautiful. We just need to normalize it. So you might have a chance to win one of these books, Effie.
I love children's picture books. So yeah, I mean, what is it called again? Baking Up a Storm.
Yeah,
and you can probably find it on Amazon. And
it's on Amazon, and it's from Jessica Farham, Parham. She's one of my besties on Instagram.
Love it.
And but this, she's wrote 2 books, but this one's my favorite because I love to do stuff in the kitchen. And it has some recipes in here too that are really good, chocolate chip recipes.
Oh.
So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Sometimes everybody feels so alone having RA, and and it's good to find people that you can relate to or get advice about medicines, or how do you handle when this happens to you, or how do you do this? And I just love that connection we all make together. And it's so important. It just helps you get through, especially bad days and days, you don't feel great. And I just think having that community support is just awesome. And I think what you're doing is amazing. I'm going to try to do drawings the whole month of April, like one each week.
Okay.
And I'll do it all on Instagram to give people a chance to do it, because I'm just going to celebrate more inclusion and, all that stuff.
So April is Limb Difference Awareness Month, and you guys can find Colleen on her Instagram page, Mad for Minnie. That will be in the description box below. And I really love everything you shared today and your journey of kind of leading you towards the Colleen way. So,
and everybody can create their own hashtag about their journey.
Yeah.